Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Manny Talks Shooting is proudly presented to you by D2 Custom Guns. Did you know that Phil the Groundhog isn't the only thing Puxatawny, Pennsylvania is famous for? That's right, D2 Custom Guns, the home of Dan Heizenreiter and one of the best, fabulous 2011 builders in the country. So make sure you guys go check him out, D2 Custom, anywhere you can see him on the social media, Facebook, Instagram, go check him out. If you see myself, Patches Reader, anyone with the D2 Custom Guns, make sure you go check him out, and you will thank me later. Now, let's get on to the show. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast on the internet because we live in an internet age. This show is proudly presented to you by D2 Custom Guns. Go get a hold of Dan at d2customguns.com. Get your limited gun, your limited optics gun, your open gun ordered before the season starts so you can have it on day one when you can shoot outside, especially for everyone who can't shoot outside right now. Unlike our guest tonight, our guest is from the sunny state of Florida. Steve Anderson calls him Shooting Jesus. We were talking and sitting down with Buck Lawler. How you doing, Buck?
Not too bad, brother. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a great Monday evening, and we're going to talk about shooting and all those things that go along with it. So we're going to have a good conversation. I can feel it.
Let's do it, man.
It is going to be awesome. So, Buck, people may or may not know you from the gentleman at Carry Optics Nationals who got disqualified, but we'll get to that part later. That's later, guys. So, but first, who are you and how did you get into this? Like, how did you find this?
Okay, so my name is Buck Lawler. I'm currently a master class USPSA shooter. I guess my journey started when it was like just prior to COVID times, and I felt that I needed to get something other than my hands, or we would say a different tool to protect my property, my family, my friends, and I decided that would be a gun. I kept it. It stayed at my house. I didn't want to carry it. I thought it was just going to go bang and just go off. So at a certain point during the process of the fear of it, I just decided one day that, all right, I need to figure out how this thing works, everything about it, and stop like fearing to use it or get to know it. You know what I mean? So I started shooting a little bit at the range, and then actually my first course was sheepdog response Tim Kennedy course. So I took that. It was a couple days. I only dry fired really prior to that, and a little bit of like plinking on the range on paper. And I just dry fired as much as I could. And then when I got there, I ended up being the best shooter in the class, even better than the police officers that were in the class. And then I sought to find ways to get better at it. I saw videos and talked to friends. My friend Jordan trained with a guy named Joe Farewell, and I went to train with him. And then I saw all this whole other list of shooters that were just, I was like, that's what I want to become. That's actually shooting, right? And I saw what it could be, and I figured, you know what? I got comfortable with the firearm and I got even better with it. And I decided that the better I get with it, the better protector I'm going to be. And at a certain point, I decided that, maybe I should learn enough to teach my friends and family and pass on the information that I had gotten. And I knew that shooting matches from all the people that I've learned from, like Donovan Moore, Modern Samurai Project, Joe Farewell, Steve with the mental game was great. But besides that, the shooting, Jay Beal, just to name a couple, I decided that I need to take the information I got, send it off to people, and also then take the journey in becoming a better instructor. And then I got involved with WAFT, which furthered, you know, uh, differently than just competing, but hand-to-hand combat, blade, scenario instruction, like um, how you basically confront danger. Where's the most dangerous places on a person, the valuable stuff that a normal person like you and me should need just to walk around daily and basically not get into a dangerous situation or spot it before it happens. And my tool became my firearm, and decided I wanted to be as good as possible with my tool. so I would never have to go to it because if I did, I'd know I'd already won the fight.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow.
And
That's a lot to a lot to unpack, but we're going
yeah,
to. But and I love, like, you decided you had to protect yourself, your family, and your home, right?
yeah.
So you decided to get that tool. Was that tool an M&P to start, or did you start with, like, a Glock or
No, I
something?
started with a Glock. I started a Glock, iron sights for about a
Ye
year before I moved to an optic.
Right? Because what that was still when optics, I don't know about optic, that
Yeah,
was that.
100%.
Yeah, so you had a Glock, eventually you probably burned that Glock and got an M&P, right? Or how long ago was that?
Yeah, so I actually had a Glock, used it for a while. I got a Timney trigger in it, and then I started having some issues with the weight of the pool would gradually increase. Every other pool, the poundage would continue to go up. So I took the Timney out and I went back to stock. And when I went back to stock, the problem didn't go away. So that's when I just decided, I met Donovan from Point One Tactics, and he had shown me Apex trigger on an M&P, but he also showed me because we use Glocks because they don't fail. Like I want the gun to work when I need it. So he showed me one that he had shot 80,000 rounds through and never cleaned it. So it's just been oiled, and he took it apart, and when he tried to take it apart, it was super hard to get apart, and when he gets it apart, it looked like it would just been in a fire. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And it still ran totally fine. He goes, "Yeah, I never cleaned it. I'm just gonna run it until it dies." And the 80K rounds later, I was like, "Okay, so it's reliable." And then from there, I've just stuck with it ever since.
Now, have you let one of your guns get that disgusting?
I have one I have one that's on its way, so, like, I have 3 of them. So I have a competition one, my backup comp one, um, actually 4 of them, shorter carry one, and then I have one that's like my do it all, like classes or just training or whatever it may be, that I just shoot and I don't worry about cleaning at all. So it's working its way there.
Okay, that'll be interesting. So you and Uncle Donnie are have to compare pictures at some point with your nasty,
For
nasty
sure.
gun.
100%.
I don't know what's worse. Is his more belly lint, and then yours is probably more sand because Florida.
Yeah, Florida's bad, dude. Bad with the sand.
Yeah, it's not much better here. Like half of our ranges are either gravel or sand up here. It's like I don't get it.
Yeah, you drop it in the sand or the dirt. I mean, I just don't like the crunchiness of sand.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So
don't blame you either. It's a pain. Then you gotta take your magazine apart, and then
dude, everything.
yeah.
I never had to deal with that actually, like dropping my mags on the floor, like in the dirt, like because most of the stuff that I run is stock until recently, where I got like a lighter spring and a brass base pad, and decided, like, okay, let's see if like this helps me out. Like that's when I started having problems. But most of my stuff's stock, so I don't. The gun just runs. I don't have to worry about all the finicky stuff where someone drops a mag every time they drop it, they got to clean it.
Yeah, and I shoot open, and I don't do that. I just put it back I just put more bullets in it and load
Yeah,
the gun.
and it works fine.
Yeah. Well,
No
I'm
issues.
very
Okay,
lucky. My mags and my gun are pretty rock solid, so
good.
yeah, I people are like, "Oh, man, your gun doesn't malfunction." Yeah, you have a gun built right, you don't have these problems.
It's because you see it all the time, dude.
Oh,
All
100%. Now, I've had problems with me making bad ammo. That's a different story. Yeah, I'll make a bad piece of ammo or it gets through case gauge for some reason. I'm like, "Oh, now I have a bad piece of brass in this bag," and it's like a bag of 600. I'm not digging through all of them to check.
Oh god, dude. Luckily, I've never that's the thing is, like, I weighed the options, like, buy ammo or load it yourself, and I just it's so much work, dude. I just
Well, for you, I
time
don't
and
like
effort.
I think for anyone who shoots carry optics, limited optics with, like, a stock gun or even like a semi-custom 2011, I don't think it's necessary to have to go load. Me, shooting open with open major ammo, yeah, I have to load. That's like but if I had to redo it, I would just buy ammo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't waste my time loading 9 minor.
That's the thing, I was like, I wanted to think, like, how much money would I save doing it, and people tell me, "Oh, I pay, like, 19 cents a round." I'm like, "You can get it for, like, 22, 23. Is it worth it for the little bit?" You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, it says not that they save money, they just shoot more. That's the thing what they typically say, but yeah. If I had to do it all over again and I wasn't in a custom open gun with a custom ammo, yeah, I'd be buying some ammo because
Buying bulk.
yeah, buy it in bulk, have it come often, and then shoot it up and be like, "Oh no, my ammo's all gone."
Yeah, my training box of ammo is just like 3 different brands, like the cheapest stuff I can get because it's just training ammo.
But are you that guy who shoots steel case at a match?
No, 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 no,
So
no.
lately at the indoor match, "This is my cookie, sir. Mine." He really wants his cookie.
Yeah,
Guys, pre-show, the dog was, like, all over trying me to get my cookie, trying to get it. But anywho, there's this one guy who's shooting I think he's a cop, which I there was, like, 10 LE who shoot this match, which is awesome. But there's one of them shooting steel case, and I kinda cuss his name out underneath my breath when I was picking up all the brass, like, because 'cause I'm just like, oh, end of the night, you clean it up, put it in my
yeah.
brass bag to take it home and wash it to make more ammo. And I'm, like, sorting all the steel case out. I'm like, "Garbage,
Oh,
garbage."
man.
It takes 10 minutes, but I'm like, "Really? You can't afford, like, 2 extra cents per round?"
Dude. Or maybe he just says, "Screw it." He probably shoots a Glock. The majority of the time I see steel shooters is the people who shoot steel ammo, their steel case stuff is Glock owners.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yep,
I'm glad they're out there training and shooting and getting better,
for
but I
sure.
still gripe about, "God damn it, really? Steel case?"
To be honest with you, besides the dirtiest of the gun, is that basically the main reason?
No, I just gotta sort it. It's more of a pain in the ass for me,
Oh
but
god.
it's just like but that's just me picking it up. But no. So, and I like it which was surprising that you said when you took your first class, you were better than law enforcement even though you just kinda picked up the gun and started plinking, right?
Yeah.
And you dry fired, right? Now, how did
Yep.
you know what to dry fire? Or what like,
And
where you didn't? You just did
no,
the classic YouTube draws and stuff and
so YouTube draws, and I think, like, my main goal when I shot and recorded myself was I wanted to figure out, like, when I was figuring out how to grip the gun is, like, I record myself in slow-mo. Before I had any data, I would just record myself and I see how much the gun flips, right?
Mhm,
And my goal is to try and get it not to move, right? So I wanna be it as flat as possible. And I guess over time, what that did for me is it let me get away with a bad trigger press because my grip was really good at the time. Because I
mhm,
just kept the gun as still as possible while I pressed the trigger. And don't get me wrong, I mean, they didn't have us shooting targets further than 3 or 5 yards, you know what I mean?
mhm.
So like you're not missing, especially if you grip the gun really, really hard at that distance, trigger control doesn't come into play.
Right, yeah, you're pretty
Yeah.
much burning it. You're having muzzle flash on the target,
And so when I see cops not hitting the target at the distance, I'm like, "How is this a thing?"
right? Now I
Yeah.
can now I can understand, maybe one-handed, right? You're doing the weird, tuck my
Oh, for
head
sure.
and, that kinda thing, but
100%.
static square line stuff, like, yeah, you shouldn't be missing at that
No.
distance. I will say, you met Tim Herron, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the first time I met him, actually. Cool
So,
guy.
at first class I ever took first ever, like, competition class I ever took with Tim, we did this
Yeah.
he did, like, a rendition of the dot drill, like the Garcia dot drill, but he uses little boxes.
I've never seen the dot. I get the idea, like dot torture style.
He no, but they kinda look like A zones, but so they're A zones and they're kinda like, it's almost like a 1/3 or a 1/6 scale. You're standing at, like, 3 yards, and, you try to shoot, like, 6 rounds into this, yeah, USPSA A zone shrink down on a piece of paper. And we were doing these drills, and people were there's a couple back when I was shooting carry optics and open shooter. My dot offset, like, dude, if you can't understand dot offset at like 3 to 5 yards, we got a problem.
Yeah. I mean, it took a little bit to figure out, but I mean, when you realize that, "Oh, I just gotta hold higher
Yep.
at this
You got to
distance,"
remember, you're right on top of it.
you're right on top of the target.
Your zero is not in the play, but
Yeah.
no, that was the best thing. Tim's a good instructor too, even though he's too short.
I
I'm
mean,
taller than Tim, so
that was the first time I met him. I'll tell you this, like, Tim came at, like, the first set of the class, so, like, he was a day early, and even though he was a day early and he wasn't in the class, one thing I do respect, which was you don't see that often, is Tim was helping pace and helping the class get prepared for the next shooter or prepare
Mhm,
the next shooter when he's not even in the class like that. I feel like he's going above and beyond to help and make sure that when he didn't need to do any of it. So I respect that. That was super nice of him. That was my first ever experience with Tim, and people have told me nothing but good things about him. So um, when I saw him, I was like, okay, they were right. Tim is a good guy, and he is here to listen and help in any way he can. and
Well,
I appreciate that.
right. Well, and yes, he is one of the salt of the earth people, good dude. But it was probably nice as he took the extra day, helped reset, paced, get everything going. He was able to absorb more things to have his teaching brain on too. Be able to
Sure.
absorb things that were said and not have to worry about your own performance. You're just able to like, okay, absorb it. And how do you become a better instructor? Because
Yeah.
that's the cool thing is when you see these instructors take another class, so they can absorb more knowledge to either their shooting skills and or their teaching ability, right? Because
Right.
not everyone teaches the same either. Because why would we take classes from different instructors if everyone taught the exact same curriculum and how they do it?
Yeah, they teach the same thing, they just communicate it differently, so it makes more sense from one person to the next.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. But no, that's good. Where was I going? So so you mentioned Joe Farewell down in Florida.
Yep.
Um,
My first That was my first, I guess you can say, dive into performance shooting,
mhm.
what's actually possible, like, from what I had seen, which was just the tactical stuff at the time.
Right. So Joe, and then he introduces you to like who'd he introduce like Donnie and
Yeah, he introduced me
Scott.
to Donnie and Scott, from there, JJ Racaza. And then from there, just a ton of other people just started whelming, and that's when I really started to dive into the idea of what performance shooting is. And I mean, my main goal has always been like stick with what I do, which is I don't carry a gun outside the waistband, is just AIWB. So looking at Scott and Donovan and concealed carry stuff and what's possible in that realm of shooting was my main focus. And
Right, which
they were
there's very few people who still do the AIW, like that's all they do, right? Like there's you, Donovan, Jay Beal started in AIWB.
Yep.
What's it? God, his last name is blanking. Ken Yong,
I
Ken
think
Yong
it,
of Tactic,
yeah,
Cloak and
tactical pins.
Dagger.
Yeah, Cloak
Yeah,
and Dagger. Yep.
yep, he's
And
doing it all AIWB.
Santi from Tactical Santi does it too. I think it's Coast to Coast Tactical does it as well.
Yep. So are you vying for the first person to do it from be the GM from concealment?
That I mean, if it happens, it happens. There's a lot of good shooters shooting AIWB now. Like, I mean, that 100% have that on the same radar. Like, they're going for that too. My main goal, to be honest with you, is Super Squad. Like, if I could make the Super Squad from AIWB, GM is going to happen at some point. You know what I mean? It's not my main goal. I've never wanted to be the guy who focuses on classifiers and just do classifier matches to make GM, but I want to be the guy who like, when you see a GM shoot, you go, that guy's a GM.
Yes,
Before
exactly.
you even see that was my main focus. So if I
Right.
could do that and make the super squad, and then after that we'll see, how competitive can I even be in the super squad?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you want to be
Yeah.
able to see how you compete and handle that, and uh, and I think it's a testament, your dedication to be that good, and especially just doing it from how you carry every day. No fancy, no fancy gear. You probably have a magnet on your belt too, just for those unloaded
Yeah,
starts.
that's it. I have a mag on my belt for unloaded starts for sure. When I first started, I did like. There's always been this kind of thought in my head, like I'm never gonna unloaded start with my gun. Like all my guns are loaded all the time.
Hmm.
It's just not something I would do. So there's parts of the game where it's like if I'm playing the game, I'm playing the game. You know what I mean? So unloaded starts for sure, magnet on the belt. Um, it depends. If it's like a super short round stage, then I'll just do it from my actual AIWB rig.
Right, but sometimes you pick it up off of a table. You got to put it
Yep.
somewhere because you need a reload. So yeah, it makes sense every once in a while to have that.
Even the ones that I have to pick up off the table, I don't
Mhm.
put it on a magnet. I still stick it there.
You
I
still
just
put it in your pouch.
Yeah, I still put it in my pouch.
That makes sense,
Yeah,
especially if you're used to it and comfortable, and you can stow on the clock.
for sure.
Like, well, and especially the most of the time is you can absorb that with movement. So
Yeah.
it's not like a stand and deliver kind of thing where you have to.
Yeah, if I do an unloaded start though, I'm doing an unloaded start, my shirt's tucked behind my gun.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Makes
the
sense
only
because your gun's
time
already out.
yeah. So I just stick it right in there, we're good to go.
Right. That makes sense. All right, let me pull my notes back up because, of course, my iPad decides to close, guys, because it's a
No
jerk.
worries.
So, we've talked about all these great instructors, Uncle Donnie, Scott, JJ. Where did you meet the goat?
So it was funny. I was obviously looking to improve. I talked to JJ a lot, and obviously I've watched videos and seen Eric and heard stories about Eric and watched videos, and I was like, this guy goes to SHOT Show every year. So I just said, why doesn't he do any classes down here? So I just messaged him and said, hey, you want to do a class down here in Florida after SHOT Show? And it happens to be that the IPSC Extreme match is also in Florida, which he goes and shoots every year. So it just made sense. And he was like, sure, why not? Let's get together. I didn't meet him through anybody. I just messaged him on Instagram and he wanted to do it. So then I hosted my first class with him. And then ever since then, it's been every year. We try to do 3 classes actually this year, which we couldn't. He had to shoot the IPSC Extreme, which was my first IPSC match too. But yeah, I just met him through Instagram.
That's impressive. I thought you'd been like, JJ,
Nope,
help me talk to your boy.
no. I just sent him a message and then it started from there.
Hey, money talks, right? Like, hey, want to teach a class? You can make some money.
I mean, when you meet him, I was, I guess you could say, most of the top dudes, like you look at JJ, you look at Eric, all these guys who you think would be like overwhelmed and not respond to certain things. I mean, they'll take the time out for someone who's just getting into the sport or someone who's in the sport. They don't need to know you, but they'll take the time out to talk to you, which is, I mean, more than I would say of like the majority of what people would think. They're like, I'm gonna message this guy, he's not gonna say anything. It's not that way. Like these guys are teachers, and teachers are always there to help new people get into the sport, help shooters get better, answer questions, and he's just a upstanding dude who happened to just be like, okay, let's chat with this guy and see what he wants.
Right. And you'd think, right, you think they'd have that dogma or the stigma. I'm not talking to new shoot,
No,
I'm the man. You're beneath me. Not saying Eric is like this, but you'd feel like that would be like the thing you'd feel from like a top level shooter. Like I've met some really cool people in this industry, and like I didn't even shoot Carry Optics Nationals last year, but I went on Saturday. I was there
yeah,
Saturday morning. I kind of knew because I knew the Super Squad was shooting in Zone 2 at Cardinal, and I'm like, okay, if they start if they're on the first stage, in that zone, I'm like, okay, they're roughly going to be here. I've been to Cardinal a million times. I've helped run major matches there. So I'm like, I know where they should be. I walk up
yeah,
to where the super squad's at. The rest of them are all doing their thing. I talked to Christian's mom for a hot minute because, she's always there. And then, Mason Lane came up to me and actually shook my hand and said, hey, how you doing, man? We had a conversation where like, right as like he just got done shooting and it was pretty cool,
yeah.
and the rest of them, Max zoned in. There was a couple, wow. Can't even remember well, and then
I think it was
AJ
Mac.
wasn't even on the super squad, neither was Shane.
No, that's what that was actually cooler than a lot of people think
Mhm.
because JJ didn't make the super squad because I think the year prior he had a squib and got 21 mics on one
Mhm.
stage, so it put him out of the run. But which was cool because then Eric came and shot the match, which allowed JJ to shoot on his squad.
Right, yeah, and then you're able to shoot with your homie and then still have the
Yeah,
top heat there and be like, "Okay, I'm not off pace. I'm getting the best plan," or
for sure.
and you can see that, and you've probably seen firsthand, Eric has a completely different style of shooting than most of the top shooters in the United States, where we try to shoot on the move on things, and Eric is very positional and harvesting those alphas and
Yeah.
savage.
He's a whole different breed of shooter, very, very focused. Um, and also one thing that I noticed that he does more than anything is like when he comes up and someone goes, they're a new shooter or they want to say hi, even though he's on a stage and he's gonna shoot soon or whatever it may be, he doesn't ignore him. Comes, says hello, takes a photo with him. I'm like, dude, top notch guy for sure.
So speaking of him, there was a rain delay at on that Saturday morning of Carry Optics Nationals, and
Yeah,
they were about to shoot the prone stage, the pickleball stage.
yeah.
But the rain delay happened, so everyone's getting lunch, everyone's hiding under tents. I had just gotten lunch with my buddy who rode with me, who drove down with me, uh, and we were just talking under a tent, and then Eric comes up from in my periphery holding 10 bottles of Pro Grip. Not gonna lie, 10 bottles. and my buddy, Ken was like, what you must like that stuff, don't you?" He's like, You go through a lot of that?" And he's like, "Yeah, my son uses a bottle of match." Has no idea who he's talking to. My buddy had no idea who he's talking to,
Yeah,
and I'm like, so I didn't embarrass my friend in front of Eric. I was just like,
yeah,
so I'm like, "Well, how was the travel?" Because he'd just come from like the Europe extreme match,
yeah,
like the week
yep,
prior, and I'm like, he was like, "I was home for 2 days." I'm like, "Oh, that's gotta suck because time
yeah,
changed to back there and
for
then
sure.
fly over here." But no, he's like, "Yeah, I can't get Pro Grip back home in France." So I'm like, "It's impossible." So then I took when I was like, "Well, it's good to talk to you, Eric, we're gonna move on now," and because everyone it was raining really bad, and
Yeah,
everyone wanted under the tent. We had our rain gear on, so I was like, "We'll move on, and we'll go talk
yeah,
to somebody." So I explained to my buddy, I'm like, "You were talking to, like, a world champion here about
yeah,
goddamn him and his kid's addiction to Pro Grip." Had no idea who he's talking to. He's
yeah,
like,
the champ.
"Oh." Yeah. But it was so nice because he had no he was just being sociable, and he was talking. I was like
Yeah, that's just who he is. You would never know because he's just that kinda dude. Super, super, super nice dude.
I still think he and Eric and JJ are vampires because they keep looking young. I think they're like sucking the blood out of somebody and just staying young forever.
I mean, I don't know what those dudes work nonstop, man. Nonstop, which is crazy. The fact that they look the way they do, and you hear how much Eric flies and how much he shoots and having to stay on the top all the time, it's just insane. I mean, maybe it keeps him young, dude. Maybe that's the secret. Keep
Yep.
working.
Yeah, and it's got to be something. It's got to be like it's impressive to see, but that's also the different culture of how we eat and take care of our bodies here compared to there.
It's
Like
true.
so much cleaner eating. Like you would never find. I mean, maybe you might see Eric
I
Graffel have
mean,
something once
dude,
in a
I'm
while.
telling no, no, no. When we were at the IPSC Extreme match, dude,
Bubbly water.
we're eating Five Guys every day.
That's what it was. That's I'm trying to
Yeah,
remember. It's like I never had it's like Five Guy he was talking I
yeah,
remember him telling me about that,
yeah,
when they came in there, they didn't know where they were going to eat, and he's like, "Well, Five Guys sounds good."
yeah. Five Guys every day, dude. They're about it.
Well, hey, if you can't get it back at home, might as well get it while you're here.
Oh, for sure. Phenomenal, dude. The French fries are top tier.
Yeah?
And they give you like when you ask for regular fries, they have a cup and then they fill the cup full, but then they fill like half the bag full with it too.
Oh, so
It's
you're
like,
just your
dude,
burgers, and then you got your fries in there with the
dude,
extra
it's
fry.
insane, bro.
You're paying for it, so they might as well
Oh,
give it to you, right?
so good, dude. Yeah.
I forgot about that, but that makes more sense. I have never had Five Guys, so I'm gonna have to
Really?
I don't
Oh,
think we have
man.
one close nearby either, though, like
I've always had the debate like In-N-Out or Five Guys. There's certain things that I like about In-N-Out, certain things I like about Five Guys, but I mean, dude, the burger quality at Five Guys is top level, and then you build your own burger. So like whatever you want on it, they have a menu of what you can put on it, and it's just like how Chipotle says, "What do you want in your bowl or your burrito?" It's
mhm.
the same thing.
Yeah, you know what? And we have I would call it poverty Chipotle because we have Qdobas around here.
Oh
We don't
yeah,
have a real
I've never
Chipotle.
had it.
Yeah, but what was it? Oh, there was some guy on Instagram and TikTok. He was doing 1,000 days eating at Chipotle. Have you ever seen that guy?
No,
Oh, for 1,000 days he was eating Chipotle every day, and I'm like, oh my god. He didn't, and then he paid for that until like what day? What was it? Day like 950.
yeah,
He was paying that out of his pocket every day. It was like $16 worth of like a Chipotle bowl. I'm
yeah,
like, holy shit.
every day,
But
and
he
then
was
they give
jacked.
them for free.
Yeah, no, he didn't get anything for free until, like, the last 50 days. But they bought him a car, like, it was a nice, I can't even remember the car now because he actually ended up selling it, but it was like a I'll have to look it up, but it was a nice little, like, coupe, like, race car, like a sporty person car.
Chipotle just bought him a car for eating there.
Well, yeah, it's a social media thing deal. I was like, "Well,
Okay.
you're not gonna pay me or you're not gonna buy me my food, at least, like, how about you buy me" like, you throw it out there, "How about you buy me this exact car that I want?" They
That's
did.
crazy.
He
That's
was thinking
crazy.
about getting it, like, Chipotle wrapped, but then he's like, "Yeah, that's a little too much."
Oh, man. Driving around in a burrito bus.
Burrito. Kinda
Yeah,
like the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
exactly.
You look like a guy who's watched the TV show Community. Have you ever seen that TV
I've
show with
not. Uh-uh.
Oh my lord. They had an episode where they had, like, a KFC, like, a space simulator, and it was a van, and it was like yeah, it was weird. It
Really?
was like a space-themed, simulator, but it was, KFC themed, so it was
What's
really,
it about?
the TV show Community is about Joel McHale. His character is a lawyer who's not really a lawyer, and then he has to go back to community college to then go to get enough credits to go through education to then actually become a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
And he's a dick throughout the whole show. He's like nobody likes him. He's like, but then he has this group of people like Donnie Glover he meets. Chevy Chase is in the TV show. Um, the crazy Asian guy from The Hangover is in
Oh,
there.
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I
Isn't he a doctor? He's a doctor too, right?
Yeah, yeah, he is.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he's the crazy Asian he's a
Yeah.
Asian Spanish teacher. How the fuck do you get that one? Anyway, I think you'd enjoy the show, but
I'll check it out.
it's called Community.
Okay.
Uh,
Where can I find it?
you're gonna have to. I mean, shit. With nowadays in
Is it
streaming,
on
you can
Netflix?
find any. It might still be on Netflix. It's been a minute
Oh,
since I've watched it, but it's a decent watch. There's a couple seasons of
okay.
it,
Cool.
but
I'll check it out.
there you go. But all right, let's get back into the shooting topic. So ooh, there we go. Got the T burps now. But anywho, when did you shoot your first major?
My first major, I believe so level 2s are majors, correct?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so I didn't know that at the time. So I think my first major was Dragons Cup, like, what, maybe 2022, I think?
Okay.
Dragons
Damn.
Cup?
Yeah, one of the best, major matches to go as your first one.
Yeah. I didn't know. I was gonna shoot carry optics nats that year, and I remember talking to JJ, and he said, like, "If you wanna prep for nats, this is the best way to do it." So he's like, "You should go shoot this." So then I went and shot it, and I remember I did it in a one-day format, so it was like I think it was
Ooh.
like 14, 15 stages all in one day, and it was miserable.
Well, yeah, and it's
So
hot.
bad.
It's
Dude,
terrible and sandstorms.
in like 5 stages before I'm, like, done or 4 stages before I'm done, I'm just like, "I just wanna leave." You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So the commitment to doing well didn't matter, it's just like, "Get through the stage as fast as you can, dude."
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
rough doing that all in one day.
yeah, and then after that, my first, I guess you can say, like, national match was Carry Optics Nats.
There you go. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about that. So you went to Dragons Cup, hell of a
Yeah.
match. I mean, obviously you probably thought the match was good, but you're like, I'm done. I don't want to be
Oh,
shooting
yeah.
15 stages
It
all in
was a
one day.
it was super cool, my first major experience, I thought the stages were great, they were super difficult, so I didn't see anything really prior before that besides my local matches, so it was like a whole 'nother level for me. Like,
Right.
coming up with a plan, I was just like, I walked stages probably for, like, 5 hours prior to that trying
Damn.
to come up with something, you know what I mean?
Now, did you shoot with any buddies, or were you the only dude you knew on your squad?
The only dude I knew on my squad.
Oh man, that's got to be the worst. You're like, well, we're gonna be hanging out all day together, people, and I don't know.
Yeah. That was it. I was just I didn't know anything about it, and I was like I was just committed to getting better at shooting, and I didn't have any friends at the time that were, like, really into it, willing to, like, travel or go places and do stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I just said, "Alright, here's the start, man."
Right. So, I kind of forgot to talk about this, but your locals, we talked pre-show, right?
Yeah.
What was your first what club would you call home first? Would that be Guncraft or the other one?
Guncraft for sure. Um, I think Guncraft was my first home, but it was not my first match.
Mhm.
So, Guncraft's my first home range, but my first, um, actual match, I forget the name of the club. It was with Les Pepperoni.
Yeah, Les
Les Kiss Marconi?
Pepperoni.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Was it
yeah.
that indoor match, like, that
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
looks
yeah,
inside?
the indoor match. Ah, God, I forgot the name of it, but and it was super cool because it's kinda backed up there, but you shoot, like, 3 stages that they move around inside, but everyone there was super, super inviting, super chill, super willing to help, like so every time I have someone who's new, like, and wants to go shoot and get into competition that maybe a friend or student of mine, like, that's where I bring them, like that, and I've had nothing but great experiences there with those shooters. And then I moved from there to the WAC.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been a minute. Less pepperoni. Now he was a Beretta slinger. Now he's a Glock slinger because he's a cop now. Which he reminds me of Nathan Fillion in The Rookie because he's
Yeah.
that old middle aged guy going to be a cop.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, he's one of the dudes where when he told me he was gonna do that, I thought he'd be great. He's a great people person. And he told me a story about that once, which I thought was funny. He goes, in the academy, he's like, "Hey, yeah, they had us shoot a bill drill, and when they had us shoot a bill drill, I shot my 6 rounds, and then the instructor, I asked him, and I said, 'Hey, what was what was the time on the first 6 shots?' And he asked me why. He goes, 'Cause they were all mine.'" I thought that was funny.
That's yeah, which is sad to say. He's like, yeah, you got a GM level shooter. He's like, I'm gonna go be a cop now. I'm gonna be like I'm gonna be the 0.0001% of law enforcement who's
Yeah.
good at shooting.
Luckily, I met it's funny we talk about it. I've met a lot of decent law enforcements once I got to competing, but the level, like you said, is it's just so low, right? The how many cops compete or
Mhm.
focus on getting better at shooting than just doing the bare minimum.
Yeah,
But like it's the same theory about like how many GMs are in CO compared to or how many GMs are in USPSA compared to how many people own guns on the planet on the or in the US, you know what I mean?
right. Yeah, it's that ridiculously small amount of people, right? Who
Yeah,
even shoot our sport. Like we've got 40,000 people. That's
I
it.
know. And how many shooters are you say CO is the most stacked division?
Mhm. Yeah,
So
I'd
how
say
many
so.
GMs are in CO?
We
Like a
probably there's maybe 200. I would say maybe 200.
maybe 200. So maybe 200 shooters on the planet or in the US are GM? Like,
Yeah.
and there's, like, millions of gun owners, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The percentage is super small.
it is. What's funny is like I didn't know if you'd actually mention less pepperoni because I was thinking about it when we damn hiccups. You mentioned the WAF, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember. I remember a picture of Les like being in like the bad guy suit.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh
yeah,
okay, maybe he knows less. And then I'm like, yeah, yeah.
dude.
I'm. It's bugging me now that I can't remember that indoor range either. Because he'd
Yeah,
always wear his goddamn flip flops at the
I
indoor range
know.
and be like, I'm gonna
He's
still kick
such
everybody's ass.
so it was it's a mix up. So no matter what, like Les has always been around, and I'm super thankful for that dude being at the matches I go to and being the guy to chase. Like when I first started really wanting to compete, and like when I was competing at the time, I think when I was shooting at the range, he was the only guy at that high a level who would like communicate with me and try to help me improve and make me feel comfortable enough to ask questions to get better. Because at the
Mhm,
time, like I couldn't shoot matches with Joe, or Joe wasn't shooting matches at the time near me, right? So
mhm,
having a guy like Les around in that area, I'm super thankful for that for sure.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Les is a good dude. He's smart. He transplanted out of crappy Chicago, Illinois to
yeah,
warm, sunny Florida.
yeah. Smart man.
Yeah, if you guys
Smart
are
man.
interested, I actually did a conversation with Mr. Les Pepperoni on the podcast, so go back and listen to that if you're interested. Well, finish this first, people,
Yeah.
then go listen to it if you haven't listened to it. It's been a minute, but no. Thank you for checking out another episode of Manny Talks Shooting. I greatly appreciate it. And if you could do me a favor, please go patronize our partners when you are available. We have always, as the title sponsor, D2 Custom Guns. We've got Outdoor Dynamics, Make Stuff Better, 2 Alpha Apparel, Range Panda, Laugh and Load, Hunter's HD Gold, and Southern Bobby Q. Now, thank you. Let's get on with this episode. So, how'd you get involved with WAFT?
From Joe actually, like, I remember, after a year, just that I think it was just about a year after meeting Joe of shooting and continuing to improve at shooting, Joe got a job at WAFT as the firearms director. Um, and he said, "Hey, have you ever been interested in teaching?" I was like, "Whoa." And I was obsessed with shooting at the time, and I still am. Um, but I'd never taught anything, so I had no idea. So I was like, but I knew I wanted to do it, right? That was like my goal was like obviously spread the information. Like I got into this for this reason, and for me to make other people comfortable with a firearm and safe with a gun and confident with defending themselves if they ever needed to. I thought it was a very important goal of mine. So I told Joe, I was like, yes, 100%. And then from there on, he became not just like my first true performance instructor, but uh, teaching me how to communicate with students, how to diagnose problems, right? Class curriculum, um, what I'm looking for, and then kind of built me up from there. Like, hey, I'm going to have you teach a section, and then after you teach, I'm going to come and put in some input if input needs to be put in, right? And
Mhm.
then went from there, and then ever since then, I've been working with WAFT. I think WAFT has a very good goal of trying to make people safer, right? So we've always aligned with. I don't know anywhere else that they do that type of training in the U.S. For civilians, maybe for law enforcement or like military, but I think civilians need something like that to like understand the basics of how to keep yourself and your family safe.
Yeah, but it is a really cool facility from what I see, at least outward facing, right? You know, all the cool different scenario based training, all the other things you can do there. Um, it's a next level facility,
Yeah.
with what they're able to offer. I mean, I'm a little disappointed I got on the website and it says your name and I clicked the plus button and there's not like some mugshot of you or like some cheesy grinning like headshot like you'd see like a professional headshot. I'm like,
Yeah.
how can I build rapport with this person? With a guy named with a name like Buck. I'm
He's
like,
doing it right now, dude.
well, I know, but I'm saying like if you go to the website, I'm like, why is there no
Yeah.
mugshots? Everybody,
I'll get one to put one up.
well, nobody else has one either, so don't feel bad.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
J.R. Crosby, he's
He's a cool
Florida
dude.
man, right? Like I want to see like
Yeah,
him
I
holding a
love him.
gator over his back. Florida
Oh,
man.
100% Florida man, Jay Crosby for sure.
No,
He's a good dude.
yeah, he's some. I haven't talked to him yet. Maybe I'll eventually get to talk to him. But yeah, you know, he is Florida man.
Yeah, he's done a lot of interesting things, man. A lot of interesting things for sure.
Yeah, I still want. I don't know if I can look it up or not. He's probably got some fights on the internet somewhere I
Yep,
can still
fights
watch.
for sure, for sure. He taught Stop the Bleed at WAF too, so like he's got a bunch of training in a bunch of different areas. Very
Yeah,
interesting guy. Yep.
yeah, and that's be diverse, right? You know, that's how
Oh man,
you got to be diverse in what you do.
for sure.
What you looking at, dude? Go back and lay down. He's just like, I heard somebody move out there. I don't know if I want to investigate or just lay here. Oh,
My dog would be freaking out right now, dude.
oh, he's quiet, but he's a
He's
goofball.
still mine's still a baby, 9 months.
Oh, there you go. Well, what kind of dog do you have?
It's Cane Corso.
Oh, okay. There you go.
He's a big boy. He's
A
like
big.
about 105 pounds right now.
Jeez, what are you feeding him? People?
Dude, they're just big dogs, bro. Huge
Yeah.
dogs. Yeah, his dad was about 165.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's insane. No, my
So
little
he's got
dude,
room to grow.
he's 40 pounds of pure corgi muscle.
There you
Sorry,
go.
I'm
How
talking
old
about
is
you a
he?
little bit. He's 6.
Oh, there you go. Full
Yeah,
grown, dude. That's as big
yeah,
as he getting.
yeah. He's been that way since he was like 2. But everyone's like, man, he's heavy. I'm like, he's not fat though. He's like a very lean, muscular dog. And his dad was he was even bigger than him, and he was
Yeah.
very muscular. Mercy boy. Yeah. See, people, you get to listen to dog noise. Um, maybe if it picks up, this microphone's good enough. It might actually not pick up the little
Yeah,
barks,
you
but
probably have something set up so you don't pick up little stuff like that, yeah?
yeah, well, it's like I got to talk into it right here because that's where it all comes in.
I
But
remember when I had my streaming set up, I could set it up so it only pick up a certain volume. So anything outside of that, it's not going to pick up as far if it's far away from the mic.
well, yeah, who wants to listen to you click on a keyboard the whole time and you type?
Exactly.
Now, speaking
Exactly.
of that, we talked a little bit about it pre-show, but what did you do? What did you Twitch stream?
So I Twitch stream. My main game was Counter Strike. So Counter
Oh,
Strike is where I started from. But any FPS shooter, Counter Strike, Apex. I did some WoW. I wasn't really a big WoW guy, but first person shooters was my thing. So either CS, Apex, maybe Zero Build, Fortnite.
okay. Now,
Yeah,
I don't think WoW would be a very stream worthy game, right?
I
Like,
just did it for fun with friends for sure.
but like, but you'd be streaming raids and stuff, right? Not like, oh, I'm gonna go grind
Oh,
on these quests,
PvP only, bro. If
right? Like,
I'm
yeah,
doing
I'm
it,
like,
I'm doing PvP only.
but there are the people who enjoy watching let's play videos, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you ever remember those? Like, they'd be on YouTube, they'd be big,
Yep.
like I can't remember. It was like growing back up, and I had a GameCube, and this
Yeah.
GameCube had the master. Zelda game disc in it. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that is had every Zelda game in its entirety on the GameCube disc up to Wind Waker. So I could plug it in and play Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, right? And play it on my GameCube or
Yeah.
play Ocarina of Time. And I don't know where somebody stole that. They stole my memory card and my disc. I was pissed. I don't know what happened to it, but I was like, and then I was like, I think it was
Uh,
during high school. I was like, well, fuck it. I can't play this right now. And I don't have an emulator. So I'm just going to watch Let's Play videos of this shit. And I was like, oh, there's nostalgia right there. Just,
oh yeah. Or speed runs of games like that is insane.
oh, yeah. Speed run. Or all the
Speed
glitches or
runs.
the cheat codes. Like, oh, we're going to do this before we absolutely can. Like,
Yeah.
any of my nerd friends know, like Ocarina of Time, you have to be a young Link and then you got to be old Link, right? So
Yeah,
there's some
dude.
glitches where you can try to cheat it and blow yourself up and be like, you're supposed to be here when you're an adult, but you can still get here as a kid. And then you trigger
Yeah.
something and you have like the super, it's ridiculous.
I just I don't know how people figure this out. You know what I mean? It's like how how long did you have to spend like finding every nook and cranny in the game to figure out that you could do this?
Right. I don't,
It's insane.
it is insane. I don't know how people spend all their time. I mean, I do understand how people spend their whole time playing video games, but
Yeah,
you know what's sad is I don't even own a console anymore. I mean, that's just my thing. Like,
I don't either, dude. All PC.
yeah,
All but I've always been that way.
yeah,
Like, I owned old school consoles back in the game or back in the day, but, like, I'm talking, Super Nintendo, N64, PS1, but PS2, Xbox, but after Xbox is computer.
yeah.
Yeah, the entire time. Maybe I owned a Xbox One, you know what I mean? But other than that, it was all PC all the time.
Right. So, would you have like when you PC gamed, would you still use a controller or would you just be
No,
hotkeys and keyboard?
keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you couldn't play Counter Strike without a keyboard and mouse.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
this is true. But but now you can play a freaking people are playing console games with a control like computer games with a controller sometimes and it's like
So, it is true, like, there's one game that I'll play right now, if I were to play is Rocket League. I'll play
mhm,
with a controller.
Rocket League. It
Very,
kind of sounds like a
very
fighter
specific.
game.
No, you're cars, and you have a soccer ball, and it's soccer with cars.
Oh, that does sound pretty legit.
Exactly, it's great.
So I went to a hockey game a couple weeks ago, and they put these interns and the marketing team in these
Yeah,
giant body blow ups. So
yeah.
they're sitting with their heads up. It's a big old like probably 5 foot diameter ball inflatable ball, and they bounced each other again like big old to get
Seen
across the
that.
ice. It was
Yeah, yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. That's cool. I love hockey, man. I played hockey for a long time.
So I've been thinking about like in the off season because we can't shoot really out here up here other unless it's inside. I'm
Yeah,
like I want to go learn to play hockey. I mean, I've always been a Chicago Blackhawks fan.
yeah,
Um, One person I really want to talk to is Luigi Lee, who's a big Florida Panthers fan. I don't even want to
yeah.
talk about shooting. I just want to talk about hockey with Luigi. But I don't know if I got to use Brian Conley to sweet talk him into that. But
Well, if you ever go and you're like, "Hey, I wanna learn how to play hockey," I used to do it for a long time. I played junior A majors in California for the Valencia Vipers.
oh damn! So
Yeah.
what were you? Were you a defenseman?
Yeah.
See, I want to be the. I'm the guy who's like, I don't know if I'm that good at skating, but my hand-eye coordination's pretty good and my eyes work. I'll sit in the goal.
Yeah.
Be
It's
like,
crazy. Like, what people don't understand, like, goalie the amount how fast the goalie is, you know how, they have F1 drivers, they hold, like, the 2 balls up,
mhm.
right? And they drop one and they have to catch it, and they drop another one, you have to catch it, and their hands are on top, right? And they drop a ball and they have to sometimes they'll drop both. They do that and it's a reaction time test, right? Goalies will catch the ball way faster than F1 drivers will.
Oh, yeah, well, you think about it, that puck's going anywhere between 100 and 200 miles an hour, slaps
2
got it.
is a little far.
Hey,
It's a little
well, maybe what was it? I can't remember what I was watching, but it was probably like some, essentially what they like the trials or whatever, the silly, the how fast can you how fast can you get the puck to go? How many it was like, I don't know if it was trials or something, but it was like, some games they were doing, some hockey games.
yeah.
or like where you can throw the puck into the each can how many times can you actually hit it into the designated spot on the net that you need it to go into. But yeah, it's you can you there pucks go 100.
It's like a skills competition.
There
I
you go.
think yeah, so I think the like my clock in a skills competition, I think the fastest mine was clock is like 98 miles an hour, but I think the fastest ever clock was like maybe 114, 115.
Alright, let's see, what was the fastest puck ever shot? Okay, sorry, 114 so the fastest puck ever shot in the 2012 All-Star game was 114 miles an hour. Okay, I was a little
So
exaggerating.
200, 200, 200 is
Hey,
a little fast.
hey, we just like a pitching machine, we can have a puck chucking machine.
Yeah, they're
It
fast,
you
man.
know what?
I'll tell you
Pucks
that.
will continue to fly until morale improves. But no, I was, like, looking at it, I'm just like, the only thing stopping me is buying all this gear is, like, is ex it's, like, it's
It's
ridiculous.
expensive.
Go just the big pads are 1,000, and that's
Yeah.
not even, like, the top of the line
And you don't wanna
pads.
buy used, bro,
No, you
because
don't.
those things smell, dude,
Oh, yeah.
bad.
I've
You
been
can't
want
get rid of it either.
No,
It's just you
it's
can't. It's
fun,
just it's
but I
bad.
lately, my feed has been blown up with, like, funny beer league, reels. Like,
Beer
"Oh,
league's
let's go for
cool.
another game." It's like
Yeah.
now that would be the sport, like, and I went and watched a game on Saturday, and I was like, I was sitting at this is an ECHL league game. So I don't necessarily like because I know it's NHL, AHL, and then
WSHL.
yep, then there's that, but there's the ECHL. So I don't necessarily know where that stacks, but this team is affiliated with both the Canuck teams. Best name in a best hockey team name ever though, the Canucks.
Nice.
But we were sitting right behind the attacking goal,
Yeah.
and you're just watching this game, and I'm sitting on that front row, and it's like, man, this is awesome. These refs really sucked. They couldn't call a cross check to save their life, and then when one team would actually start like a fight, they'd
Yeah.
put both of them in the penalty box. I'm like, what the fuck? He was getting hit. What do you want him to just keep getting hit? No, let him punch him back. So they send them
Yeah.
both to the penalty box.
I mean, I remember my first time figuring out that rule where, like, I threw my gloves and helmet off to fight the center on a team because my coach asked me to, but the center was a smaller guy and he wasn't gonna fight me, and I just thought it's you throw him off, the other guy's gonna throw him off in respect, but that's not the case,
Yeah,
and then I got a penalty solo, and he just skated away, and I was like, "What just happened?" And my coach then taught me, "Okay, if they don't take their gear off, you have to take it off for them." And I
yep,
was like, "Okay, different set of rules here."
yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like I should be going to jail for this, but you know what I
Hey,
mean?
it's this unsanctioned rule that happens on the ice stays on the ice until you
This is
actually, like,
true.
you assault somebody. But no, like, yeah, like, you got there's every team's got their enforcer, right? Everyone's
Mhm.
got the guy who's gonna go fight, which is funny, you remind me of, like, your face and your beard and your hair remind me of Patty Maroon from the Blackhawks, though.
There
Just
you go.
like, he but I watch him skate, dude, it looks like he's skating 2 miles an hour, like, "Na, na, 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 na."
He knows
But,
his job, dude.
oh, he does know his job, he's like, "Protect
Yeah,
Connor Bedard, just
yeah,
protect the
exactly.
little." God, that kid makes so much money. Well, he doesn't make that much money, but because 'cause he's got an entry level contract, but he's so good.
Yeah, not compared to football players.
No, no.
No.
Shit. Hockey well, the thing is, hockey people who enjoy sports, who like, "Oh, I love watching football." You don't realize there's like 2 to 3 hockey games on for your team a week, and they happen at like 8 o'clock at night,
I
and
don't Yeah, I've gone to watch a pro football game,
mhm.
and I can't see anything,
Yep.
right? When you go watch a pro hockey game, dude, you feel like you're in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole 'nother experience. Everyone that I've seen who's in another sport, when they go watch a hockey game, they're like, "Dude, that was the greatest thing I've ever done." I'm like, "The greatest sport I've ever watched." I'm like, "Dude, people getting slammed into the glass, dude, you feel like you could feel it." You know what I
Oh, yeah.
mean? It's a
And
whole
you
'nother thing.
yeah, and you're protected by glass and a net, like, that's all you're
Yeah.
protected by, but and people realize, dress warm, people, it does get cold.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Everyone's drinking, dude, it's having a blast.
Oh, yeah, it's like the best sport because then there's the people who are drunk and they're yelling at each other because of, "Oh, look at the zebra missed the penalty." Well, shut up, you know, it's like
Everyone's yelling at the players in the penalty box, dude.
and I didn't even understand where the rule like, where chirping came from, like, I heard it on the range
Yep,
far before I ever went to a hockey like, I went to a hockey game,
yeah,
and I'm like, "This makes sense."
makes
My
perfect
favorite thing
sense.
to scream at somebody when they do something stupid is I just call them a bum.
There
"You
you go.
bum!"
Yep, chirp a
But
little bit.
yeah, you got to, like I went to this game. It was I think the game was it was the same night the Lions played the Commanders and they got their asses kicked. There was a goalie. Long story short, the goalie, his name is Bednar, and this one lady
Yeah,
was so blitzed. She came blitzed to the game, to the hockey game, and she's like, "Bednar, you suck!" Every like 30 seconds. It was bad.
yeah,
And then it was like people are like, "Can you take the drunkie home already?" Like but she was in her Lions gear and ready to like they were more worried about the Lions game playing. But I know it was funny. You just listen to people chirp at each other at the players. And it's a good time.
it is. It's
If you
phenomenal. I love
people,
it.
if you haven't gone to a hockey game, find a minor league game, go to something. They're fun to watch, like, and they're not that expensive.
They're a good time for sure.
But the worst part is, um, the fucking ticket fees, bro. Like, that's the insane part. The fees are ridiculous.
I mean, for I haven't been to one in a long time, but I'm guessing what's the difference between that and a football game?
Well, no, I'm just talking about, like, the fees for you to get your ticket. Like, those fees are ridiculous.
Oh,
The old man, I'm taking him to the United Center in Chicago, and our tickets were 140 a piece. Very reasonable. Like, we have very good seats. We're like 10 rows up in the
yeah,
inner bowl, like right at glass. Like, I think we're either right above glass level or right under glass. So we're not like doing the
yeah,
weird looky look,
for sure.
but we're on the attacking side. 140 bucks a seat, not terrible. But I'm paying like $60 a ticket just in fees on top of that. So it's
That's
like
crazy.
the stadium's already getting my money. Why are you feeing me to death?
Crazy, dude.
Yeah. So well shit, you're in their Guncraft, so go watch a Tampa Bay Lightning game.
I have. I'm not saying I just haven't done it in a while, but I have watched
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Now, so you said you played in California?
Yep.
So what were
Valencia.
okay, so what was your favorite pro team growing up then?
I'll be honest with you, obviously you have the Kings, but I was a big fan of Detroit just because Detroit was one of those teams where you didn't really have any star players and the team
Mhm.
just knew how to play together.
Yeah.
Like you have all these other teams, these star players that everybody would talk about, and then Detroit just had like nobody, but they were just smashing everyone.
Yeah.
So I liked that. For some reason, to me, that was like, hey, everyone may talk about all these other teams and all their star players, and then just Detroit comes out, no star players, and they just make it work.
Yeah, and hardly most of them are not American. They're mostly
No,
Canadians or, like, Swedish or, Finnish, and it's like, "Okay, we" like,
yeah,
I hate it when, like, you're watching a hockey game, you gotta listen to the announcer say the name first before you know who they're talking about.
yeah,
Like, I
exactly.
can't just read the back of your fucking shirt. It's not like you're
No,
talking about Patrick Kane. Okay, that name's easy to remember, or Gretzky. Well, Gretzky would probably be hard for most people, but
or Ovechkin.
yep, or Ovechkin or Chelios.
Yeah.
Like, names just would fuck people over. It's not like, Kelsey, right? It's not that easy. It's not
No,
like, Breeze or Manning, like, not American names, people, but hockey's a
not
great sport.
American,
I
for
love hockey.
sure. I do
Hockey,
too.
greatest sport ever.
I agree
Um,
with that.
it's better than NASCAR. Honestly, it should be, I was talking to my one of my buddies in Canada the other day, and I told him he's like I made a joke. I'm like, "All right, make Gretzky the prime minister because 'cause they're getting rid of Trudeau. Trudeau's on the way out." So I'm like, "Put Gretzky in there." And I'm like, "You will get rid of all the Mounties. We will just enforce all the laws with angry hockey players."
Yeah, the great one will be the new
Yeah,
king.
exactly. But,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "No, you're gonna annex us. We're gonna be the 50th state, 51st state." I'm like, "Bro, Canada's too goddamn big to be one big state."
Oh, it's huge.
It is huge, but anywho, now I gotta dive back into shooting even though I just wanna talk about
No, go ahead.
no, but, where did reaction time, I can't remember how we
Yeah,
got into
reaction
talking.
time.
It probably was, but,
Yeah.
because I said gold. But,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I was tempted about it. I was tempted about selling my first open gun to go buy a bunch of hockey gear,
Oh, man.
but, I can't do it to myself. I'd
No,
cry.
you gotta keep it.
So we've talked about a little bit, you wanna be a GM. There is a goal of one day it'll happen, be a GM
Yeah.
from AIWB, be on the super squad. Um What made you want to, or what made you decide to go, hey, say, hey, I need some mental coaching,
Um, so for me, I've never played a solo sport,
right?
right? It's always been a team sport, so I've always had somebody else to blame. You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah, it is what it is. You have other people who pick up mistakes where you make them, right? You do the same for them, right? But I've never done that, and after, I read with winning in mind prior to going to that. Again, Joe Farewell said I should read it, so I did, and after reading the book, realizing that how important mental game is, and again, committing to the sport, like, you have to commit fully. It's just not shooting, right? And when you get to a certain level with your shooting, it does become a mental thing, right? People can say things to get in your head. People do say things to get in your head, to get you to think about things. I remember I used to have such bad reloads at practice that the first time I went to actually think about a reload in my stage plan, like visualize it, I couldn't visualize a good reload. It was always trash, bro. And I was like, how am I supposed to visualize myself doing something and get it done and memorize my stage plan? But every time I go to visualize me doing uh mag change, I'm missing I'm missing. Um,
Hmm.
and so from there, I remember listening to Steve talk about, like, asking him about it. And this is I actually got into Steve from Jay Beal. So, like, I
Hmm.
originally saw Jay Beal and I was like, holy smokes, this guy's quick. This guy's insanely fast. All he does is dry fire. I'm like, I want to be as fast as this dude. Honestly, I don't know anyone that I've seen. I mean, maybe Isaac Lockwood, who can draw the gun as fast as Jay Beal, but I think Jay Beal takes the cake on just being fast at everything. It's absurd. So
Hmm.
seeing him do that, I was like, okay, now this is the next level. Let me see if I can get here. And then, following the 12 drills, right? That's when this is what I did. I followed the 12 drills. I did them every day. I think I did like 300 plus draws a day, right? Every
Hmm.
position, every day, 45 minutes, just nonstop, bleeding hands, like injury, like just go as fast as you can all the time. And that's probably where that came from. Always having a bad reload, always telling me, oh, that was ass, that was shitty. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then from there, I was like, okay, well, how do I fix that? If I can't visualize a good reload, what do I do? Right. Then I started listening to Steve and talking about the mental game and asking him questions and realized, okay, well, now I have to refix my self image of being able to do that in practice and not acknowledging that everything is ass. And I think that's when I first said, okay, let me get some mental help, because if I can't visualize myself doing a good reload, maybe that's a problem.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, and yeah, you're right. Like if you have all those bad imprints or those negative imprints in your shooting,
Yeah.
it makes things harder to do right, right? And when
100%.
you actually consciously have to think about something you've never done before, right? It's always harder. But
Yeah. I can tell you the confidence that I have now in my reloads and my draws. Definitely can tell you that having that viewpoint of positive about what you're doing and you're getting better and you're improving, has helped drastically in my confidence in what I'm doing on the range.
right, and I think confidence is the big thing, right?
Huge.
And it's not just in shooting, right? Like I took confidence back to my life, my family life, like even my work, right? Like confidence in what you do every day, or and whatnot. It's massive. Like if you're confident, you're most likely going to do very well, right? Like
For
there's
sure.
so many people like on the range, like even for me, like they're like, "Oh man, how you gonna do this?" I'm just gonna do the best of my ability. I'm gonna be confident how I can do it, right? And then you put up a good run, and they're like, "Man, that was really good." I'm like, yeah, you just gotta not fake it till you make it. Believe in yourself, right? Like
Oh, for sure.
there's a thing about like, don't worry about Joe Schmo behind you
No.
who's gonna shred. Just worry about you.
Yep.
And that's where it's usually my buddies. They're like, "Oh, I was thinking about something else. My thoughts were off the rails." I'm like, "Well, it's your time. Take as long as you need to be ready." Like,
Yeah.
or if you say you're not ready, like you're mentally checked out, you're not ready, don't get up in the shooting box. Tell somebody else to go. Like, get yourself right, and like put
Yeah.
block it off for all you need is 30 seconds. Block it out. But
And, like, I mean, you said it, like the whole idea is, especially when it comes to like building a plan, everyone worries about the perfect plan or what everyone else is doing. It's just like, dude, get a plan that you're confident in. I'm telling you right now, if you go for that perfect plan and you don't feel confident with it, you're not going to run it very well. Do the one that may not be the best one, but if you're confident in executing it, you probably do it 10 times better than you would do the other one.
Oh, 100%. Yes, absolutely. Stick to the plan, get the mental reps, memorize it, get it
Yep.
down. I don't know how many times people are like, "Man, I like your plan. I really liked your plan. I wish I would have thought about it when I was getting ready to shoot." And of course, you're like 2 shooters ahead of them. You're like, just shoot your plan. Don't try to
Yeah.
change your plan now because you're gonna F it up."
Until you meet the goat and he doesn't say that.
Yep. He's gonna just like, "Just do it. Just fucking change the
No,
plan."
yeah, 100%. He talks about his world shoot. He's like, I think he was coming onto a stage. He was gonna shoot next, and he had about some the guy prior to him just shot, and he had something he had changed. He did in his plan where Eric was like, "That is a better option. I need to do it." So he goes, "I had 30 seconds to change it," and he goes, "And I won the stage
Yes,
by
but
changing
Eric
my
is
plan."
also the GOAT, right? Like
At
there's
a certain level, you know what I mean? That is a good tool to have. Again, I don't know how major the change is, but to be able to change your plan on the fly, again, comes down to confidence in your ability and what you can do. And when you see someone who does a plan where you know that's going to cut off 1 to 2 seconds, you're going to have to do it
right. Oh, yeah, especially at that top level and you can't give up time.
for sure.
But I will say, he has confidence in doing that and knowing that. And it might not have been a whole plan change. It might have just been, all
No.
right, we're going to change this scenario, this sequence of targets so I can shoot out on this one or in on this one, less risk, or the timing is there.
Yeah.
Because they might, especially on those IPSC stages, there might be the timing might be you have to be perfect.
Yep.
So you're like, well, he did it the way I think we should do it. So I'm actually going to do that now instead of, I don't, because that's always got to be sucks to be the first shooter. And you're like, well, hopefully the sequence works out, right? Like
Yeah.
as you saw at the IPSC Extreme, great segue by the way for me now.
Yeah.
The IPSC, there was a lot of swingers on that match, a lot
Dude,
of
every
swingers and a lot
stage.
of itty bitty plates,
Yeah. Every stage.
and that's all I could see is like, oh, look at another swinger,
Yeah.
oh, another
I mean,
top swinger.
yep. Another one. And the thing is like, at the IPSC match, obviously, I didn't even know if I could shoot AIWB there, like,
Hmm.
because I never seen anybody in IPSC do it. Like,
Right,
so when I showed up, I didn't know the rules. Like, and everyone's like, "Nah." So I brought a belt with me because I'm like, I'm not gonna pass up a chance to shoot with the goat on a squad. Like, I'm just not.
right.
So if I got to run the belt, I'm gonna run the belt. And then when I talked to the guys, I'm like, "Well, what if I shoot open?" They're like, "Oh, maybe, maybe." And then I talked to the RM, and the RM was like, "Yeah, that's fine." They're like, "We usually don't do this because it hinders our performance or makes us slower, so but if you
Hmm.
want to, you're okay." So I was like, "Cool." Um, so then when I got into, like, the stages and how they do things, their short courses, like, a whole different breed, like, of what I consider on-demand performance. That one makeup shot could be 4%.
Yep.
You're done. It's like 4% gone.
Right.
It's insane. Like, you have to be on point, and the thing is, like, I think for every 3 short courses, they did, like, 1 or 2 mediums and, like, a long course. So they
Yep.
had so many short courses, dude. Like, I'm talking 12 to 16 rounds, maybe,
Hmm.
and you
Well, and
had to be on point.
you had to, like, you have to have the points. You can't throw misses and Mikes and Charlies.
You can't
You
even
have to
throw makeups if you wanna compete.
right, you gotta smack it the first time and, usually when we see short courses in the States, they're stand and shoots, not
Yep.
these where these 12 rounds of running around, shooting the targets. Um, it's super cool. I'm excited because 'cause I'm shooting the US IPSC Nationals in August. So
Oh,
I get to
nice.
24 stages. I think I have to shoot 12 stages a day, 24
Yeah,
over 2 days because 'cause I'm gonna shoot it with staff.
yeah.
But I'm excited because guess what? I get to shoot a big stick and I hardly have to reload it throughout the whole match.
That's cool, dude. I when I talked to Eric, I didn't know, like, IPSC, he's like, "Yeah, we don't pace in our" like, where he's from. They don't pace ever. I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah. You'll never pace a target out there." I'm like, "What?"
And then you have to paste here.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, "Come on."
Well, and the problem I think is with the Euro the extreme match.
Yeah.
is they didn't like they had like 100 people not show up, right? Like 100, and
Yeah.
so you're like, well, we can't do 3 zones. We don't have enough shooters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they only did 2 zones. They only ran 2 zones.
Yeah. That
Yep.
was something I never experienced too, dude. Like they put us on a stage, so they're like, "Yeah, you're starting on this stage the next day." So I show up and it's like, "Hey, know your shooting order." Cool. I'm shooting here. Oh yeah, you guys aren't shooting this stage, you're shooting that stage. So we go over there, right? And now I know the shooting order. Then they're like, oh no, we're not shooting this one. You guys are going over there. So we like switch starting positions multiple times. So like say one day I ended where I started last, right? The
Mhm.
next morning I would be last to go, right? So I'm like, but since they skip so many stages, they're like, no, Buck, you're first. I'm like, but I was first last stage. They're like, yeah, but we moved all the way back here, so the shooting order changes with it. So you're going first again.
Who
And
the
then not just that, so next stage, because we have to move back the other way, then Eric would go, and I would have to go right after him. So it's like we're one, then you're two, right? Then you end up being in the back of the line. I'm like, what is happening, dude?
what that makes
So I probably went like as first shooter in a day, maybe 3 or 4 times, and we only shot 9 stages that day.
with a name with Lawler as a
Dude,
last
it's
name, like
insane. It was crazy. I've never seen it happen before. So I definitely wasn't prepared to go first for multiple stages in a row.
yeah.
Yeah. That was something different.
That is definitely rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very yeah, just you have to be mentally locked in and be like, "Oh, you're going after Eric." "What? Oh, what? Okay."
Yeah. You figure, "Oh, I went first that stage, so I'm going last the next stage." "No, you're going second." I'm like, "What? How does this work?"
And it probably doesn't help that some of the, officials were not, English was not their first language.
Yeah, they weren't bad because what they did is, like, you had, like, one of the main ROs in your squad, but the majority ROs that we had, they stayed with us the entire match, right?
Oh, okay, so they
Yeah,
traveled with you
and
then.
they're all Volusia staff, right? So
Mhm.
all of them speak perfect English. They have no problems. Even the ROs that aren't from the country, like from Jamaica, like none of them had issues speaking English. Like I didn't have any communication problems with ROs at
That's
all.
good then.
Yeah. It was a good match, bro. I was actually like I was so surprised how refreshing it was to shoot an IPSC match. I was like, it was so different than USPSA. I was like, this is kind of cool. In USPSA, I thought IPSC was way more demanding with performance on demand because of the short courses. I'm like, you can't mess up at all.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
you lose a whole stage or you lose 10 seconds on a stage, you're done.
Yeah.
Like,
That,
there was watching a video of Tom Castro,
yeah.
and he has a horrible jam with his PCC, and it's like 10 seconds, and then it was just rough to watch, but
Was that at the IPSC Extreme or Florida State?
no, that was at the IPSC Extreme. He had some jam with his bolt, like
Oh,
his dirty bolt and his JP5.
yeah. He had an issue at one of the Florida State matches I remember, and a stage that took me 16 seconds to run, which was not good. He ran it in 47.
Yeah,
I think he had some sort of jam or something like that too.
yeah, which is interesting because they had like what was it? It was at North Florida, then it was Florida State, and then it was the IPSC Extreme.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know how like they can have major match, major match, major match like back to back to back at the same range, and it's like what you would feel like they'd be diluting their pool, right? Like, man, I can't go to all 3 of these, even though I live that close. It's like $600-700 in match fees only.
Yeah. Like for me, I don't do Volusia that often. They do really good matches all the time.
Mhm.
They're very hard and difficult ones, so they do prep you or try to for the bigger matches. The staff is great there, but the drive is 3 hours there and back, you know what I mean? It's
Y
just
Yeah, that's rough. Having to do the 3-hour drive.
shoot a match and then go right home, like 3-hour drive, 5-hour shoot, 3-hour drive. Like I'm driving way more than I'm shooting and I'm pasting the majority of the time anyways.
Right, and that's where and for me, I've set a limit, like, "Alright, this is as far as I'll go on a normal basis," right?
Yeah.
For me, like, my normal basis is I will drive an hour.
Yeah, same here.
Anything like, "Okay, it's an hour and a half. Okay, yeah, the match is pretty good, I'll go."
Yeah, for
"Oh, the
sure.
match is an hour and 45 minutes and it's subpar? Nope, not going."
No.
Now like,
No.
it's like, "Oh, it's the one time we're gonna go shoot there because 'cause we're supporting a buddy." "Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back the next month."
Then that's the thing is like Volusia does a 9 stage
Mhm.
once a month, and I'll probably do it once every 2 months.
Right.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's the return on investment, right?
If it's prep for like a big match, then I'll probably most likely just suck it up and go.
Yeah. I would
Yeah,
love to. I see they do those action steel matches there at Volusia.
those are cool.
Those that would just be so much fun. Just like push the speed and like you don't have to paste. You just I don't
No,
even know if you have to paint.
you
Like
did it doesn't look like it.
yeah, exactly. It's like, cling, cling,
Yep,
cling, cling, cling.
yep,
Sweet.
which is
Done it.
cool because you're basically just shooting. You definitely, I feel like, would help you with, getting comfortable shooting faster because the targets are a lot bigger and you're just listening for audio cues, or obviously, if you're doing it correctly, you're reading your sights, but the targets are so much bigger, dude. Like, you
Mhm.
have some full C zone or D zone size steel you're shooting at.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool.
It is very cool. So the IPSC Extreme, 30 stages, 3 half days. You finished 5th behind Mike Huang or Mike Huang,
Yep.
whatever how he wants to say his name. Just shot, just 15% behind him, shooting minor,
Yeah.
you savage. Like and your time was good, yeah. He had a full tilt race open gun at 278. You shot 311 in time.
Yeah.
You should be
There's a
proud.
lot of things to take from that.
And you were proud of that, I'm assuming, right?
I am. I thought for my first IPSC match, learning the game and what has to be done in the match and the importance of the match, I was happy with it. I definitely think my third day was my worst day. If I kept performance that I had on my first day, I think I would have done a lot better. But 100%, I'm happy knowing that overall I did pretty decent, and I got a lot that I learned from the squad that I shot with.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got like a good idea of training from here on out just by shooting and watching the top tier performance in front of me and then trying to on like keep up with that and understanding where my shortcomings are and where I need to fix them, because there is a pace that you have to keep, and if you can't keep that pace, you're never going to be in the game. So it's good to shoot that pace and see where you fall apart.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you wanna be able
Yeah.
to see where you land, where your performance is at, where your deficiencies are at, where you have to pivot, tweak, change.
Yeah.
Everything's a learning aspect in this game, like, I think it's one of those you've gotta adapt and overcome kinda things.
Yeah. I mean,
But
if I was given the chance just to travel around and just watch these guys shoots and take notes, I could learn so much, not even by shooting the match,
mhm,
just by watching the pace and figuring out like you have to go a lot faster than you think if you want to keep up with them. Meaning like they're taking the very minimal amount of sight picture required to let the round just go.
mhm.
And they're calling it everything. It's insane.
Yeah, I it is, and it's like their limit of human function is, like, on another level, right? Like, even, like, people who are, like yourself, a master, the top 15% of our sport, and you get to that echelon of, like shouldn't even be called a GM, they should be called, like, the god status, right? Whatever we wanna call that, like, super
Yeah,
tier, mega tier, platinum, what, what's the highest thing in, like, Apex
they
or something?
they it's Predator, I think.
Alright, so we got Predator class, right? Like,
Yeah. They
to be at the
don't
level of
they
Predator is
don't
very
make
difficult.
mistakes, dude. That's the thing. They just
Mhm,
don't make mistakes. Do I believe I could keep up with them? Yeah. Do I believe I could shoot as consistently? Not even close, dude.
mhm,
They just have it dialed in. It's insane. I shot Eric do stuff that I was like, I don't even know if I can do it, right? Like even JJ saw some things where he's like, "Hey, did you see Eric do that?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "That's the other level that people don't see that often." You
mhm.
come into a swinger and a top swinger and he just double taps it. I'm like, "Bro, you told us not to double tap stuff." He goes, "Well, I was there, so I did it." I'm like, "Dude."
He's like, it's probably like, "It was there for an hour, like, why not?"
Yeah, it was insane. It was really cool to see those things and like what's the difference between uh the top tier dudes and people who are trying to get there and what I need to focus on. So I'll take fifth place, and more than anything, the experience and the information that I got from just by watching and competing against the top dudes in the same squad.
Yeah, and that's gotta be impressive, you probably shot with Eric. I'm assuming
Yeah.
you shot with JJ
Yep.
as well, so a banger of a squad, plus
Dude,
everyone else who was on there.
it was awesome, man. Awesome.
It was awesome. I could imagine it, and you're probably gonna look forward to doing it again.
Oh yeah, for sure. Dude, I'm thinking 2026 going to France and shooting IPSC.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just gotta drink
Eric's
the
back.
bubbly water like Eric does, the soda water.
I mean, dude, I couldn't even imagine like a full week out there training with that guy.
Mhm.
The
You got
first,
1,000 rounds a day.
not that necessarily. It's more like I'll tell you the first 2 times because it's 3 years now. The first 2 times I trained with him, and I think I speak for probably every other shooters that was with me in that class. They left that class thinking that I suck, like kind of demoralized a bit
Mhm,
because you realize that you're nowhere near where you thought you were, and there's so much more to go. And you either took that as a fire to continue to push and get better, or I'm going to take a break for a bit. You know what
mhm,
I mean? Um, Year three was a lot different because you saw how much gains you made after the first 2 years. That this year I actually left with the confidence to like, you're on the right plan. You know what you're doing. Just keep moving.
mhm.
Yeah.
Right, that's always gotta be reassuring, right? Like, you're
Oh,
like,
for
"Yep, I
sure.
know where I'm at. I don't feel like I got kicked in the dick for 3 days straight."
Yeah. Yeah, because again, he has stages that are like 60, 80 round stages that you run
Mhm.
in practice. And with that being said, he's like, "Okay, cool. You got 2 minutes." I'm like, "Dude, 2 minutes to come up
2
with a
minutes
plan?"
maybe, and then the first victim's up, and then I might have a plan.
Oh my god. And then first guy's up, you see him shoot, and you're like, "I still don't have my plan, dude. I still don't have it."
Right. And
Yeah.
and that's the thing, the paralysis the paralysis by analysis kind of stuff we get stuck with in USPSA of where you figure out the better is this plan better? Is this one better?
Yep.
And then you have IPSC that it's like, I have to go here, here, and here, and I have to shoot these targets as I'm there, as I'm getting there, and when I'm leaving, right? Like, there's all of these.
Yeah, the short courses, you kinda have one way to do it,
Mhm.
not very many.
It's not like these.
The long courses, they have options for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Now, I guess I have a question. I guess on a particular stage, the one stage at the extreme where you're shooting through the slit that's like this big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you go to the left first or the right first?
So, I went to the right, but I saw people go to the left as well on my squad.
Hmm.
Are you talking about, like, there was a no shoot over on the right that was
Well,
far?
I don't know if it was a no shoot. I don't think that stage was very far, but where I saw a
It
lot
was
of
the
people.
farthest target on the stage, I would
Oh,
say.
probably, but yeah,
Yeah.
there
And
was.
you had 5 open paper right in the middle?
Yeah, but you had to shoot them all through the slit.
Yep.
Hmm.
So, I'd seen someone do it by going back left
Hmm.
or back right, and the reason why they did is because their draw is not particularly fast, right? So they knew, "Okay, I'm not gonna draw and shoot this open target and then go into these 5 open boards as fast as everybody else. So I'm gonna use the time to move into this position because my draw is my weakness and start shooting that," and the time difference was not a lot. So I
Right.
don't think it really mattered on which way you did it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I drew on the close left target and then went into the port and shot everything, then moved to the left or moved to the right.
Oh, okay.
Where I'm
Yeah.
saying if I shot it now, I'd probably wanna go to the right and shoot the no shoot first.
Gotcha. Yeah, like, I just it looked real it was really weird and choppy watching, like, the PCC shooters shoot through the
Yep,
slit. It's just like, "Oh my god, this is so inefficient." Like, "What?"
yep.
And then I'm like, "Okay."
There wa there was no super clean way to do it, like, everyone had to kinda shoot it this one weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had a bottom slit you can use too, and people were debating using that one, that was sideways,
And
but no
just,
one
like,
used it.
but the nice thing about using the vertical one is, like, you feel like you could edge yourself towards the next shooting position, I guess.
Yeah, and well, the difference is they're like, "Hey, it's all choppy," like you said in the top one, but since the bottom one's fully open, you could go pop, 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 pop. You didn't have to worry about the choppiness or moving in between to see the next target
Mhm.
because it
Right.
was open this way instead. But I'm like, dude, standing up and shooting over crouching and shooting, especially for a guy my height, I'm not even gonna think about it.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
shit, you probably if you crouched, your hair would touch the ground,
probably.
which wouldn't have been a bad thing.
No.
Do you put it in a ponytail often?
Sometimes I used to, not
Are
often,
are you
no.
a man bunner?
It depends. I kinda mix it up. I'll do a ponytail, I'll do a man bun,
So
I'll
you
let it
gotta go
hang.
to a formal thing and you gotta, like, wear, like, like, you're going to a wedding and it's, like, a formal wedding. What are you
A
doing?
man bun, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the only way, or just let the locks hang and good to go
This
that
is
way.
this is true.
I
That
usually let the wife pick the choice when it comes to that, though.
right? How long have you been
Yeah.
letting that thing grow out?
It's been like this forever, dude. I played hockey. It's a big
Yeah.
thing in hockey. Yeah, yeah. You had what we called the flow.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, yeah. So long hair was a good thing.
Right. So did you always got like the ends trimmed up so it'd kind of keep growing and like not be split endy, right?
No, I
No?
didn't really care much.
No. But how
No,
about now?
I don't care
No.
still.
So the wife
No,
doesn't say you need to go to the salon, you got to go get your
no.
hair
She did at some point because she's like, your hair can't be longer than mine. So I was like, okay, I get it.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Then she's like, "Well, I got a haircut, so you got to go get a hair."
exactly. 100%.
That's too funny. Hey, nothing wrong with the flow, man. I
No.
wish I'm losing it up here, so but if it's too bad and I'm losing more of it, I'm just gonna go bald. I'll
Hey,
go look
dude.
bald.
I got this like big lump on the back of my head. Going bald would probably suck for me.
Yeah, that would probably suck. But I've seen like my dad, he's got it's his hair's thinning and he does like this weird comb over, like so weird. It's like a comb over and then it goes back but because it
Yeah.
has length. But
Yeah.
it's like I'm like, no, dad. If it's gone, it's gone. I'm not fighting it. But yeah. So, Buck, man, dude, I've had a blast talking and hanging out
Yeah,
with you
dude.
tonight. I think I got one question for you still. Um, yeah, I guess this is the question before I ask them where they can find you. Do you have any like I know you teach at WAFT, but do you have any other partners or supporters or partners or sponsors at all?
So at the time, no, I
Hmm.
don't have any. I just opened my own training company, Strapped Academy. So I have a clothing company called Strapped. It's American made apparel. So like the T-shirts are all made in America and printed in America. So you're not buying anything from any other country. Material is super super high quality. STRAPT Strapped. USA.com is what we use for that's our clothing website, and then strappedacademy.com is my formal instruction website. So I just actually released that not too long ago, maybe a week ago or so.
Yeah, this picture on here it says "Made in America." He does not have
There you
flowy
go.
locks on here though. Guy ain't got no
You're talking
lock.
about Tandy, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Tandy.
he's super serious looking, but it's like
Yeah.
just the hair, bro.
I think I'm on some pictures in there with the shirts though.
All right,
You'll see me on there. Yeah, yeah.
that's a
Made in
little bit
America
better.
stuff. That I think it's important, especially when it comes to like our industry and what we do.
Oh,
Have everything
100%.
made and printed in America.
Yeah, 100%, and then you're putting Americans to work, making
Yep.
you're supporting the economy, you're supporting your local dudes and your people who, have to go and make it, and it's not like a big box from China shows up off the port.
Nope. Everything's done here, man. That's how I
Ex
want it done.
Absolutely, I 100%. So I'm gonna put that in the show notes as well, but,
I appreciate it, dude.
looking for more I'm gonna have to bring you on at another time too because it's gonna
Oh,
be a
yeah,
hoot.
for sure.
We gotta
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, brother, so if people wanna get a hold of you, if they wanna try to get into the secret not so secret JJ class, where do they need to get a hold of you at?
You JJ or Eric class?
Oh, well, no, the Eric class, but anyway, if they wanna get a hold of
No,
Buck
secret.
Lawler,
Yeah, yeah.
what's the best place to get a hold of you?
At Buck Lawler on Instagram, um, or you can fill out a contact form on Strapped Academy if you're looking for a class, you wanna learn how to shoot IIWB, red dot specifically. That's my game. Become a better protector, all that sorts of stuff. And probably the easiest is be my Instagram at Buck Lawler.
There you go. So if you wanna talk to Buck, try to win the lottery and go take an Eric class, maybe you might get lucky. I can't promise you anything. Even if you mention the show, I can't make any promises because it's probably already sold out for 2026 anyway. But anyway, guys, Buck,
We
brother,
like
thanks.
talking about it, just so you know, like, I'm trying to increase the amount of days that
Mhm,
he comes to teach, so we'll see if we can make it happen because I know a lot of people are looking to get into that class, and it's like I said, it's changed the game for me, like, in on a whole 'nother level.
mhm,
I can't say enough good things about the dude and what he can teach, and his style of teaching is totally different than anybody here.
mhm. 100%.
So,
I agree
I'll
with
try and
that.
get him here. I'll try and get him here and get as many people in the class as I possibly can. But he limits the class, I do not.
Yep. I'm just
Yeah,
the guy who, makes sure he's there.
exactly.
Yeah. Brother, thanks for hanging out with me and chit-chatting. It's been a blast, and I
No
know
problem,
everyone's
my
gonna
brother.
love this one, even when we talked about hockey for a little bit,
There you
so
go, dude. That's awesome, man. I appreciate you for having me, dude,
no
and I'll talk
problem.
to you soon.
Yep. And like as I say, everybody on every episode, get out and do things. I'm gonna see you on the next one.